countries, I saw giraffes.
My goal is one shot and have the animal not take a step. I'm trying to make it a humane kill as quick as possible.
Dan has travelled to Namibia with a single mission: to track and kill an African animal.
The realities of hunting is you kill something, that's true. But personally, I would much rather live free out here in the Kalahari and then die by a single gunshot wound.
He's trophy hunting.
We'll get close to the animal. I know we're close when Johnny tells me, load up.
It's one of the most emotive and controversial sports in the world.
I have maybe 5 seconds to make the shot. Sometimes I'm not quick enough, sometimes I am.
It may sound perverse, but people like Dan are actually helping to conserve some of Africa's most iconic and endangered wildlife. Here's why. Images like these create intense debate around trophy hunting online.
Worldwide outrage tonight over the death of Cecil the lion.
Why are you shooting a lion in the first place?
Shoot him right between the ears.
Yet campaigns and outrage on social media often only tell part of the story.
At the moment, it's very one-sided, it's very emotional. It's also driven by people that have more resources than us. They have their Hollywood stars. They've never traveled and came and sit underneath a tree with these communities and understand where they are coming from.
I can't understand what would motivate someone to go and want to kill a lion for fun or any other animal for fun. There is a narrative that says these animals are threatened and rich Americans generally are going out to shoot them. Of course, that sounds very compelling, but the realities are much more complicated than that.
Much media attention focuses on trophy hunting in Africa, but it actually takes place in countries all over the world, and in many as part of a diverse wildlife conservation strategy. Americans do import the most mammal trophies, over 30,000 in 2017 alone. But trophy hunting is not driving any species to extinction.
Conservation in general is very underfunded in Africa. When it comes to environment and conservation issues, they are normally at the bottom of each of the African countries' agendas.
And hunters can bring in valuable revenue to fund conservation and protect against threats such as poaching. Trophy fees can average $600 for an impala, over $10,000 for a lion, and even more for an elephant, with the hunts themselves often costing more. Dan has paid to hunt and kill an oryx.
The whole hunting experience is very challenging, and I like that. I live for challenges. There's a challenge of trying to find the animal, the challenge of getting close enough to make an ethical shot. The final thing is when you pull the trigger, getting the bullet placement correct so you make a clean, ethical kill. Growing up in Texas, I've always hunted, but I've never hunted trophies until I came to Namibia.
Namibia, where trophy hunting has been legal since the 1960s, has more wildlife today than at any point in at least the past 100 years. Yet the picture across Africa is bleak. Although exact numbers are subject to debate, in just over a century, elephant numbers have plummeted. Over 90% of black rhinos were lost between 1970 and 1994, although numbers have rebounded. And it's estimated that lions, which are notoriously hard to count, have been reduced by over 30% in just over a decade. But trophy hunting is not the major threat facing any of these species in Africa today.
The biggest threat to survival of wildlife in Africa is the loss of habitat as human populations grow.
Farming and urban development have taken up large swathes of land previously occupied by wildlife. Take lions. Only 8% of their historical range remains, and they have reportedly vanished from 15 African countries. And this is where trophy hunting can actually help.
Trophy hunting enables governments and other landowners to maintain land under a wildlife-based use, and therefore reduces those threats of human encroachment, poaching, and other very significant threats.
When Marina Lamprecht bought this plot of land in Namibia, where Dan is hunting, it was a cattle ranch.
In an area like this, which was previously a cattle farm, wildlife had very little value above that of its meat. We now have a very large piece of dedicated wildlife area, and we fund it through very selective, very sustainable trophy hunting.
We'll be back.
Money from foreign hunters like Dan enables Marina to keep this land for wildlife.
It's a very nice, quiet morning, little bit of wind. I think it's a nice morning for hunting.
Most people assume that trophy hunting's about killing, but that's not the part that I'm looking forward to. I enjoy the stalk, I enjoy the challenge of it, and yes, you have to take the animal, but that's what funds this operation.
And the local community where Marina lives benefits too.
I have a deal with the local village elders that I will feed the 260 plus children in the school with meat from the hunt, but in exchange we have no poaching or interference of any kind, and it's a system that works. It's all about involving local rural communities in benefiting from the wildlife.
If communities don't benefit from the wildlife, there's little incentive to look after it.
Living on this landscape is hard. There's not much choices. And this wildlife is wild. People romanticize that these animals are beautiful. They are beautiful animals, but they are also very dangerous. And they can kill people. Or they can make our kids not go to school.
If wildlife becomes an economic asset, people will want to protect it rather than poach or kill it. Critics of trophy hunting say that it only benefits the privileged in a country, like Marina, who operates a private farm. But in Namibia and other countries, this is not always the case.
Conservancy. Tora, 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 tora.
Nearly 20% of its land is run by local communities. They choose how they want to use it.
The communities use the land as farmers, so they can be livestock owners, they can be crop growers. The conservancies choose to have trophy hunting. It's also benefiting them financially. And that is the only way that we can motivate these communities to be able to look after the lands for conservation values at the moment.
If trophy hunting is implemented well and critically with the buy-in of local and national communities and governments, you really can see an increase in the wildlife populations.
According to international data, the only African countries with increasing populations of wild lions use trophy hunting, including of lions, as part of their wildlife management. And back in Namibia, there were only 12 white rhinos in 1968. Since trophy hunting of them began in 1982, their numbers have rebounded, and valuable revenue has been raised for their conservation. In order for countries to see these results, trophy hunting has to be well implemented, as it is in Namibia.
They are downwind from us.
By law, Dan has to be accompanied by a registered Namibian professional hunter. His guide today is Johnny.
These are giraffe footprints. As you can see, it's very fresh. It's early from this morning.
Only a maximum of 2% of certain species can be killed in trophy hunting. And in many cases, even less are taken. And there are strict government quotas on which species of animal can be hunted, and for some species, which sex.
For trophy hunting, we don't shoot young animals because we use the younger males for breeding. And big bulls, they are not breeding bulls. They don't breed anymore, they just eat themselves.
They've been searching for an old oryx bull for hours.
I think we can get close to these oryx because we have zebra young. The zebra saw us.
Namibia is a peaceful and reasonably well-governed country.
Rifle. Load up.
Which is why trophy hunting can be well managed here. But in other countries, it's not so simple.
Trophy hunting is by no means a panacea.
Done badly, it can negatively affect animal populations.
For instance, around Wangi National Park in Zimbabwe, they had far too high quotas for male lions there. It just was completely unsustainable.
Corruption can also be rife in some countries. Some estimate that across just 7 African countries, trophy hunting brings in more than $200 million a year. But it's often unclear how much reaches local stakeholders. Yet in places where revenues do reach local people, trophy hunting money is a financial lifeline. For example, in Namibia, the annual revenue from hunting is $28.5 million. And in Zimbabwe, 770,000 households benefit in some way from it. In many cases, revenue from trophy hunting can't be replaced by other incomes.
There's a real misconception that phototourism could easily be substituted for trophy hunting in most places, and that's just not the case. For tourism, you need stability, you need low disease risk, you need infrastructure, you need scenic areas with lots of wildlife. In many, many hunting areas, that's not the case.
In Namibia, frequent droughts make it difficult for large tourist operations. But it's ideal terrain for hunters, and Johnny has spotted some prey.
Hunting involves killing. It's just a necessary part of it. Is that what I'm here for? Absolutely not. Is it necessary? Absolutely so.
Way past the yes. That's a big whirlpool. Gideon, maak die geweer reg. Ga net vorentoe. Get ready with the rifle. Safety off. Safety off. You see him between the trees? Yes, I'm dead on his chest. Congratulations. Big boss. You're the man.
He's down. I didn't see it till the last moment because it was behind a tree, but Johnny knew it was there. It's a heart-lung shot. He went right down with one shot. I've seen trophy photos which are disrespectful of the animal, and I don't approve, but that's not the way we do it. We respect the animal, we honor it, we use every bit of it. So I think you can do it tastefully, and that's what we strive for.
Calls for trophy hunting bans are intensifying. Britain appears to be pushing ahead with a ban on the import of trophies, and some American states have also pushed for import bans. But blanket bans and restrictions are not the answer.
There is no conservation model in the world that is perfect. And I will also not claim that ours is perfect. Over the years, we have managed to bring wildlife back in areas, in countries where it was nearly decimated. I fail to understand why would you like to close down a really good model that worked for Southern Africa?
With no immediate alternative to trophy hunting, vast areas of African habitat, more than that covered by national parks, would be put at risk.
When people look for a ban on trophy hunting because they find it morally unacceptable, what is the alternative that's going to be put in their place, and how is that viewed at country level?
In 2020, more than 50 African community leaders signed an open letter criticising online influencers who call for bans on trophy hunting. It's these local communities that have to foot the bill for conservation.
At the moment, all the costs are borne locally and all the benefits generally go internationally. I think we do need a new model of conservation, and one where the international community plays a far more active role in funding the costs of conservation. We cannot expect the poorest people in the world to maintain something that largely is valued by the richest people in the world. It is not a sustainable model.
And crucially, local communities and conservationists have to be listened to, rather than ignored or vilified.
Africans were born with wildlife. They understand wildlife. It is important that we listen to those silent community conservation voices, the people that are impacted by wildlife.
Developing new solutions for conservation could take years, and 1 million or more species are facing extinction now. While trophy hunting is no silver bullet, taking this conservation tool off the table with no viable alternative will place millions of acres of habitat and the species that rely on it at risk.
Hi, my name is Katie Bales. I'm a producer here at The Economist. If you would like to learn more about the threats to African wildlife, please click the link opposite. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.